Hello and welcome to Doubles and Trebles. It's finally here. The flat season kicks off, as always, with the Doncaster meeting and the Lincoln Handicap taking centre stage. 22 runners, straight mile, handicap. What more do you want? Not a lot more is the answer. It's soft. It could well get softer. There is some rain forecast. There is some rain not forecast, depending on which forecast you take most notice of. So it'll be small stakes this weekend with a bit of a watching brief, but I can't help myself but to have some selections, and there will be some bets, and they'll be in the description as usual. It's 1 point win or 1 point each way on all selections, as it always is, and they're always in the description. In 2021, we made 60 points profit, and in 2022, we made a 40 points loss. So bring on 2023, and hopefully we can get some positive results. Starting with the main event, the Lincoln itself. Yeah, there you go, on screen there. At 3:35, it'll be live on ITV, as you would expect. As usual, there's a group of unexposed 4-year-olds right at the top of the betting. One of them is trained by William Haggis, as per every single year it appears in the Lincoln. That's called Almabia. That's Haggis's this year. Is the favourite at 4-1, as you can see on screen. An easy winner on heavy ground at Haydock when we last saw him, so it's no surprise that he is well fancied for this Lincoln on what is going to be at least soft ground. A while is second favourite there in at 11-2 for the Crisfords. And that is another that won a handicap easily on heavy ground on his most recent start. That was in October. He has also been gelded recently a while, so would be interesting. Wanese, as you can see there, the third favourite at 9-1 has been drawn not very well, let's put it that way, in 22. The draws in brackets there, as you can see, after the horse names. You could obviously make an argument for a whole bunch of them. But the one I'm giving a go is Jimi Hendrix. He's in there at around 10-16-1, depending on where you want to put your money and who you want to place your bet with. He ran 7 times last year, this Jimi Hendrix, and ran well or won the 4 races he should have ran well in, winning twice. Now, that statement in regards to he ran well in the races he should have ran well in might sound like a load of rubbish, but do bear with me. Jimi Hendrix ran a cracker in the 30-runner Britannia Handicap at Royal Ascot, finished third. That's always a very, very difficult race and usually good form going forward. He's beat 26 horses on the day and he's finished third at Royal Ascot. Good performance. Then he went and won a good handicap at Newmarket, easier than the short head winning distance suggested. That was at the July meeting. Raced alone for much of that day, on the wing a little bit. Powered up the little hill there at the July meeting, on the July course, sorry, and was carried across the track right towards the end. He was always doing enough, and that was why the distance was a short head. Could have easily been a lot more. After that, he went to Goodwood, where he had absolutely no chance in the Golden Mile, drawn in stall 21 in a notorious low draw race. The most draw important race possibly in the whole of the summer racing calendar, particularly at a big meeting. The winners that day come from stall 2, and the second was from stall 1. Put a line through that. Jimi Hendrix had absolutely no chance. Then after Goodwood, he had a little bit of a break, and he tried 2 races towards the back end of the season, which were, in hindsight, over too far a trip. 9 furlongs in the Cambridgeshire. He just never really got going in that race. If you'd have backed him that day, you would have hoped for better, but he just never really got in the race, possibly too far. And then 10 furlongs on heavy ground at Newbury in October was definitely too far. That's his one and only try over that distance of 10 furlongs. It was too far. I doubt he'll be ever going back to 10 furlongs. He's been dropped £3 as a result of those 2 most recent runs, which don't look good in the form book. But he's back to a mile here. He has won on soft ground before. The trainer already has 1 winner and a second from 3 runners this month. So he's in decent enough form. Jimi Hendrix, 16-1, as you can see on screen there. 6 places each way with William Hill. Take my money, please. I do quite like him. But as always, the unexposed ones at the top. And I do still think Jimi Hendrix is reasonably unexposed, but not very. Those ones at the top, Almabia and Awal, could easily go and win. We don't know how good they are. They could be pretty good. But I do think Jimi Hendrix had a really quite productive season last year in some of the toughest handicaps for a 3-year-old. He's 4 now. I hope he can run well on Saturday, and if he grabs a place, I'll be happy, and I'll be even happier if he can get himself in front. Onto the Spring Mile handicap at 2:25. This is for horses that didn't make the cut for the Lincoln itself. There's a maximum of 22 in the Lincoln, and any of those horses that didn't make the cut running this is a consolation race. Like the Lincoln, there's 22, maximum field of 22 to get stuck into, and at 15 to 2 the field, it looks even more difficult than the Lincoln, to be honest. And this being a consolation race, by definition, a fair few of them don't have many ones and twos next to their name. Arthur's Realm won this very race last year off an £8 lower mark. He appears to like this time of year. He's in there at 10 to 1. He could well go. He could well go well again. I'm having an each way poke on Harswell Duke. You can see him there about halfway down the list, 12 to 14 to 1 range. This Harswell Duke clearly prefers turf and not all weather. He won on heavy and soft ground at the back end of last year. He's been on the all weather over the winter. That's where his 3 and his 8 in his form comes from. I don't think he likes the all weather. He prefers the turf. He ran only 15 days ago. That should see him fit and ready to go for this. He may well lead. He has a habit of leading. He's drawn pretty well if he wants to go and do that and grab the near side rail at Doncaster from draw 15. He's not guaranteed to get the rail, but he could do if he wanted to. Isla Kai on completely the opposite side of the draw in stall 1, 8 to 1 there on your screen. He could well lead, but on the far side. So it depends what the jockeys try and do. Johnny P is a decent enough jockey, a claimer. He takes £5 off Harswell Duke. You can get 12 to 1, 7 places there. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing for Harswell Duke in the Spring Mile. Fiendishly difficult. Onto the 3 o'clock there, the Camage Trophy. Over 6 furlongs, a listed event. Always a race that whets the appetite for the sprint racers to come in the season, to be honest. It is only a listed race, but really decent looking enough field for that level of race, and 12 horses have been declared. Ehraz struck me as a horse last year that could and should be reaching higher peaks this year and possibly next. He had a pretty productive first half of last season, Ehraz. He had a short-head second in a Newbury listed race before a more than respectable 6th in the Group 1 Commonwealth Cup. I watched that race back today. It was a Perfect Power won that race. Ehraz raced alongside him for much of the race, and yeah, he was going as well as anything until the final furlong when the tank emptied. It is a pretty stiff track at Ascot, stiffer than most people think. And we have to remember in that race, Ehraz missed a break slightly, so that may be why the tank emptied late on. He was only beaten 3.5 lengths in that Group 1. Yeah, he obviously can't go missing the break, making a habit of that, and hopefully he doesn't do that Saturday. But he had a midsummer break after that Ascot run before he won easily when odds on in a conditions race at the back end of last season at Newmarket, a free runner race. He was 2 to 11. He was meant to win. He's been gelded, and he has retained the ownership of Shadwell Estates in the famous blue colours with the white epaulets. So connections must think that he can pick up some prize money this year and do something significant on the track. Otherwise, surely they would have sold him, given that, yeah, his form kind of fell off a little bit last year and he has been gelded, so he is no longer a stallion prospect. They've sold many horses that haven't quite made the cut in recent years, that operation. So yeah, I thought that was a bit of a tip in itself that Ehraz remains in the Shadwell ownership. His most recent win came on good to soft ground. He wouldn't want it heavy at Ehraz, that is for sure. But at 9 to 1 each way, I do quite like him. There's 2 horses in this field that could go on and threaten at Group 2 or even Group 1 level this season. One of them is El Caballo. He's 11 to 4, top of the market. We've not seen him since he ran a bad race and probably was injured in that Commonwealth Cup at Royal Ascot. He's full of potential. He's 11 to 4. The other is Ehraz, who I've mentioned throughout. He's 9 to 1 each way. He's the bet for me. You can get 9 to 1 each way, 4 places, and I'll be taking that. Yeah, I expect big things from Ehraz, and he could well win this race at 9 to 1. Hopefully, he's fit and ready to go, but we don't know that. Hopefully, he is. There is another Doncaster straight mile race on the card on Saturday at 4:10. That's the listed race, but there's no prices just as yet. Like I say, it is a listed race and not a handicap. Some of these horses, including Poker Face, who I'm going to put up, could well have actually ran in the Lincoln itself if they were that way inclined. But there's less runners, and it could actually be easier to win a listed race at Doncaster on Saturday than it is to win one of those handicaps over a mile. This Poker Face, he's got a mark of 101. He could have definitely ran in the Lincoln, but the Chrisfords already have 2 contenders for that. I mentioned Awal earlier, and he's 11 to 2 for the Lincoln. But they've decided to put this Poker Face in the listed race. That's got to be a clue in itself. I do like him. He's stepping back to a mile. after a very easy win over 10 furlongs at Pontefract. He's unbeaten in 3 starts, and he's unbeaten in 3 starts. This poker face, 2 at a mile, stepped up to Pontefract, won by about 7 lengths over 10 furlongs. He's coming back down to a mile here on a straight track at Doncaster. Shouldn't be a problem. He looks a pretty exciting prospect to me. There's no odds yet, unfortunately, but yeah, he is likely to go off favourite on raw potential alone. To be honest, if the prices become available later on, and it's a price I like, I'll update in the description below, and hopefully we can get off to a good start with the flat season. There's 4 bets there, or 3 and a possible. They'll all be in the description below. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and unsubscribe. There's going to be all sorts of flat racing content, and I do promise to get Pieman back at some stage to maybe talk about some darts. So speak soon. Thanks for watching.